Picture William Tyndale, 1536, as he is walking to his death, to be punished for perhaps the worst crime imaginable. He translated the Bible to English. William Tyndale was born in 1496 and lived a very eventful life. He attended Oxford University, but he noticed that although he was studying theology, he wasn't allowed to read scripture. He stated, "They have ordained that no man shall look on the scripture until he is modeled in heathen learning, 8 or 9 years, and armed with false principles, with which he is clean shut out of the understanding of the scripture." Although it was illegal, he went ahead with his work of translating. He was later arrested because of it and found guilty of heresy. They first killed him by strangulation, then burned his body at the stake. Because he put himself through all of this, he was extremely influential in the Protestant Reformation. This must have inspired others, such as the Pilgrims, to stand up for their religion as well. Picture the Pilgrims standing up for what they believed despite the consequences, despite being thrown in jail, being thrown out of their country. Now stop for a moment to ask yourself why. Why did they put themselves through all the hardships and struggles, trials such as having to leave their homes, crossing the ocean, nearly starving to death in an untamed land? They did this for religious freedom. Imagine if they had just hung their head and bit their tongue. Imagine if they deemed it more important to follow their country than to follow God. Well, America wouldn't be the same if it was even here at all. Obviously, they put their religion before their country. Having that in mind, wouldn't you think that we should also do the same? Imagine if everyone was as devoted to their religious beliefs as the Pilgrims or William Tyndale was. I'm sure that we all hold our freedom in the highest respect, and we feel the need to defend it. We all need to help preserve our God-given rights to life, liberty, and property. How do we do this? By living our religion and upholding our moral standards. Whenever I start talking about freedom, the conversation always, without fail, leads to politics. Now, politics don't just do nothing, but people think that somehow talking about all the problems in the government will solve them. While discussing politics is not unimportant, it is secondary to religion. Arguing over politics is actually less important to securing our liberty than as if we were to focus on our religion. Imagine if everyone was as focused on their religion as they were to their political beliefs. People are too devoted to their political beliefs and not enough to their religious beliefs. Exercising religion and morality are vital for freedom to stand. Could it be that our freedom is declining in America today because religion and morality are declining? I know of no religion that doesn't teach and support values such as kindness, happiness, honesty, mercy, agency, family, and yes, freedom. Exercising religion and morality are vital for freedom to stand. John Adams said, "It is religion and morality alone which can establish the principles upon which freedom can securely stand." Without religion, there cannot be freedom. George Washington himself, the father of our nation, stated that of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. John Adams also said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people." So even if we are to follow in our founders' footsteps and focus on the Constitution, we also need to be religious and moral. Thus, being religious and moral will increase our freedom. I've heard it said that the more right choices you make, the more opportunities you have to make choices. To give this a very simple example, if someone were to break the law, they would then be forced to face the consequences. However, if they didn't break the law in the first place, they wouldn't have to worry about the consequences. Furthermore, look at the rate of crime increase in America since COVID-19 hit. Homicide increased approximately 30%. It was said the proliferation of guns, pandemic stress, and diminished public trust in the police all contributed to the increase in homicide nationwide, according to Justin Nix, an associate professor of criminology at the University of Nebraska. But could this also be related to the fact that it was mandated not to have large gatherings, such as not gathering at church? If people don't go to church, it's quite easy for their beliefs to fade. When we lose our beliefs, we make poor choices. And when we make bad decisions, such as breaking the law, we lose our freedom to make more of our own choices. Besides that, even if it was related to pandemic stress, as Justin Nix suggests, people who are religious typically are happier and more civically engaged than either religiously unaffiliated adults or inactive members of religious groups, according to a new Pew Research Center analysis of survey data from the US and more than 24 other countries. So not only does being religious bring greater freedom, it brings greater happiness as well. If we want nothing but to be able to enjoy freedom and happiness, then yes, keep to the Constitution. By all means, follow the laws of your country. But more than that, hold to your religion and your moral standards and see what happens.